Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks.
Today's edition of the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell, along with you, Chris Clark, will rejoin us next week. Got a full house today. Have Jeremy Smith from the Garnet Trust joining us, as well as today's special guest, Stephen Garcia. Good morning, everyone. How we all doing?
Good, man. Yeah, we got full house, and I don't think Jeremy can hear us right now, so I'm going to have to just translate to Jeremy.
Okay.
But, yeah, Jeremy, Director of Operations, Garnet Trust, and the man that needs no introduction, Stephen Garcia. Stephen, welcome back into Columbia, man. How you been doing?
Awesome. Thank you for this water. That is clutch.
Yeah, we got Stephen taken care of. Thank you, Josh, getting everybody hooked up over here. But I guess let's start right there, man. For the people who haven't maybe been following you on social media, I know you got a lot going on down in Florida. You want to just update everybody a little bit to everything that's been going on with you?
Well, first and foremost, just had a baby.
Okay, congrats.
Yep, me and my fiance just had our daughter. She's 2 months old now, as of yesterday. So that's kind of been taking up a lot of time. But still doing the quarterback training. That's really what I'm focused on mostly. And then I got involved with a company called Day Chaser. I'm sure people have been seeing that. I've been posting about that a lot. Kind of getting my hands in a couple other things, but just trying to stay busy.
So how long are you in town?
Till Sunday at 8 o'clock at night.
Okay, sweet, man. So we had Perry Orth, I guess that was, a week or two ago. The two of you have obviously stayed in touch. So are y'all doing a camp again this weekend? Is that right?
Yep, Saturday morning from 9 to, I think, noon is what we're doing. I mean, I can't believe, I think this is our 8th year doing it. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. But, yeah, I'm actually staying at his house, so it's pretty cool.
Did you ever think back when Spurrier was yelling at you about technique and getting the ball to the right spot that you'd be out there coaching kids?
Never in a million years. And I find myself saying some things that he has said in the past, but there's a lot of things that he did that was very old school that I don't teach at all. So there's that. But, yeah, you actually just reminded me of a funny Spurrier story, so we'll get to that whenever you're ready.
I mean, let's.
I'll say we'll make plenty of time for Spurrier stories. Don't worry about that.
Let's let it fly. If it's on your head right now, what you got, Stephen? We got as many of those as you want, man.
So I think I was actually talking with Tim yesterday when he picked me up from the airport. He's like, how do you know Perry and all this stuff? So I went to the South Carolina UCF game when Perry was starting. So my younger brother and a bunch of my buddies all went to UCF. They're all UCF fanatics, national champs, whenever the hell that was. So anyways, I came up to Columbia for that game, and I'm wearing I didn't have any South Carolina gear. They didn't give me anything. This was like right after, or not right after, but I think 2 or 3 years after I got removed.
After you left.
Yeah. So, so I end up going up there. I'm on the sideline. Robbie Laws hooked me up. I went on the sideline. And I'm wearing a bright blue World of Beer shirt. And I'm sitting on the sideline, and, we've been tailgating, so I'm feeling good. And all of a sudden, I see Perry. I was like, hey, man, good luck. Like, they're on the bench, and I'm just talking with them. And all of a sudden, Spurrier comes up, and he's like, Garcia, what are you doing here? You can get out. We're in the middle of a game, and get out of here. Hey, someone get him a South Carolina shirt. You got a World of Beer shirt on. And I was like, yeah, man, I've been asking for a while to get a shirt, but all right, thanks. I guess that's what it took.
So did you finally get a shirt?
I did. Matt Locke hooked me up to the little care package.
Okay, awesome. Finally got hooked up. Have you noticed, though, watching Perry coach, like, he has kind of taken on Spurrier mannerisms. Like, if you just watch him, absolutely. He looks like a much younger version of Steve Spurrier out there.
He's got the visor on. He's got the hands on his hips. I mean, he's got it going on. It's kind of funny, but that's why I think we work so well together and run these camps. He's more of the structured guy, with the fundamentals and the form and all the other stuff, and I'm more of the chaos type deal. So it works.
Definitely. So when you look back on your time with Steve Spurrier, has your thoughts on that experience changed at all since you've kind of gotten older and you can kind of look back at with some perspective? Obviously, how did you feel about playing for Spurrier? And I guess there's enough time now. You can be completely honest. How did you feel about it back then? I know y'all butted heads at times. We all know that,
times, man. I mean, it was very often.
And then how's it changed,
It's changed dramatically as I've matured. I mean, back then I was just kind of a moron, just be polite about it. Very hard-headed. And that's kind of what I've been trying to get these guys to, especially the guys that I work with mostly, is don't be so hard-headed, be coachable, do the right things. And then looking back, it's like, man, if I would have just cut my hair, if I would have shaved my face, if I would have wore a collared shirt and, khakis or whatever, I think I would have eliminated a lot of headbutting and a lot of, back and forth with Coach Spurrier. And it was so stupid, so, insignificant, but, live and learn.
You mentioned being more coachable. At what point, what age in your life did that really kind of hit you? Like, man, I really should have maybe gone about my time at South Carolina a little bit differently.
A couple years ago, realistically. I was just pissed off at the world for a long time, and I had nobody to blame but myself. I think Coach Spurrier, he may have realized this too, but he could have coached me a little bit differently because I'm not a robotic kind of guy. But he's the coach and I'm the player, so I needed to kind of change my attitude a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I would say just kind of recently I figured that, if I would have made, better choices off the field, I think, I'd probably still be playing, to be honest with you.
How much of that do you think, like how much of y'all's headbutting was just the insignificant things where maybe he's being hard-headed and you're being hard-headed and it's about stuff that maybe probably didn't even really matter?
90%.
Yeah.
I mean, I got another Spurs story talking about when we went up to Athens in 2011, the game that Melvin went off on.
Mm-hmm.
Before the game, I had a beard like this, and he's like, "You need to shave your face." And I was like, "I'm not. We're about to play Georgia, like in Athens. I'm not shaving my face. Like, what are we talking about?" And he literally called me into his hotel room with our team psychiatrist and and the team doctor, and was like, "Why can't I get this kid to listen to me and shave his face? Like, why can't he do it? Why won't he listen?" And Dr. Malone is sitting there like, "Steven, why don't you shave your face?" I'm like, "We're playing Georgia. Who cares what my face looks like, man? Like, what is the problem?" And he goes, "All right, that's it. I've had enough of this." Coach Spurrier said, he goes, "If you don't shave your face, you're not playing." I said, "Okay, where's the razor?" And that's what I shaved my face, and we ended up winning the game. And after the game, he has his Sprite, and he's like, "See, we won because you shaved your face." I'm like, "Yeah." Melvin had Clowney, nobody had any other influence to that game, the outcome of the game. It was because I shaved my face.
Why do you think he was so caught up on things like, was it a thing of just, all right, he's my player and he's going to listen, so I'm going to pick something that I know he's going to fight me on? Or was anybody else having to shave their face? Or was everybody else already kind of?
No.
Yeah.
Everybody else could do whatever they wanted. It was truly baffling, and that's what was really upsetting about it. And Coach Mangus would always tell me, he's like, just do what he's asking you to do. Like, I don't personally care. You could look like an offensive lineman for all I care, as long as you get the job done. But I'm not the head coach. You got just do it, and so he shuts up. So, that's some of the things that I wish I would have been coachable on. I wish I would have listened, and I think I would have alleviated a lot of heartache.
How important was it for y'all, all you guys in the quarterback room, to have GA as kind of like, I feel like he was always kind of the good cop to mediate
100%.
And keep everything smooth as possible?
100%. Because, not a lot of people know this, but before Coach Mangus came here, he was coaching at Middle Tennessee State, and he came to visit me in Tampa when I was actually at my old high school, just kind of talking with some of the old coaches. And he came up and he's like, just want to let you know you're not transferring, because I was literally like looking at places to transfer to. And he goes, "I'm going to be the quarterback coach at South Carolina. I need you there. You're staying there." And, we just kept in contact and, via text. And after about a week of communicating with him, I was like, all right, let's rock and roll then.
So if the transfer portal had been a thing back then, I know you could transfer back then, but it's a lot simpler, easier. You tell the coach you want to leave, you're in the portal a day later. You think you're playing the rest of your career somewhere else?
I don't know. It depends on what the Garnet Trust would pay me, I guess.
Well, yeah, we got Jeremy in here from the Garnet Trust. Jeremy, Steven would have got a Garnet Trust deal if.
Yeah, he definitely would have warranted a real nice NIL deal back then.
Does that? I already know. I'm trying not to get you fired up at 10 a.m. in the morning, but I know you've probably thought about how things might have been differently for you if things were structured the way they are now with NIL.
Oh, absolutely. Just for the record, I'm always fired up. But it's frustrating. But at the same time, I'm happy for these guys. A lot of people say like, "Oh, why they don't need to get paid? They have their school paid for. They have all those." It's a full-time job. These guys.
Yeah.
We're not just waking up and going to practice and then playing on Saturdays. We got meetings. We got team meals we have to be at that are mandatory. Workouts. We got a full course load. it's not an easy deal. And, at the end of the day, how much revenue is the football team making the school? I mean, I feel like the players should be getting a portion of that. So I'm all for it, and I wish it was happening, 15 years ago, but oh well.
And we're still so young into this era of NIL. It's not even been 2 years since it was officially approved back in 2021. When you were in college a decade ago, what did you and your teammates think was possible down the line for something like this? Did you ever think it was going to come to fruition?
Not really, no. I remember having to pay $38.86 to the NCAA for borrowing it looked like that UPS truck right there. We called it the bread truck. And we used that to move furniture from my apartment to my house, me and my old roommate, Andrew Clifford. And I remember getting a call from the compliance people saying, somebody saw you using the bread truck from the university. You have to pay, what like a 2 men in a truck would charge. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, are you serious? And like, yeah, and it needs to be in a check. I was like, I'm a freaking college kid. I don't have a checkbook. So, yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I'm speechless. That is crazy. So somebody had just happened to witness you and like, might have been Spurrier.
I mean, there was a lot of people that just happened to see me.
Must have been a Clemson fan.
Yeah, I was seen quite often doing some not so legal stuff, I guess.
We got to head into our first time out. We'll continue our conversation with today's guest, Stephen Garcia, Jeremy Smith from Garnet Trust. Also hanging out with us today for the Garnet Trust Hour right here on 107.5 The Game.
It's the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
And welcome back into the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you. Jeremy Smith from Garnet Trust with us, and today's special guest, former Gamecocks quarterback Stephen Garcia, also in the studio. You know this was going to come up at some point. I have to know, how often do you get asked about the Alabama game?
All the time, still. To this day, I mean, even last night at Cantina, people were asking about it. And the one question that seems to be asked the most is like, were you drunk during that game? Were you hungover during that game? And I'm like, what planet do you guys think? Like, what are you talking about? It's truly baffling. But, at this point, it's like, yeah, sure, I was, whatever. Believe whatever you want to believe. I don't really care anymore.
Did you know going into that game, like that was about to happen? Like I imagine going into every game, you maybe have a good feel or a bad feel. I don't know. Maybe you felt great going into every single game, but going into that Alabama game, was there a sense that, all right, we got a chance to do this, or just as it went on, you were like, all right, we're doing this?
I mean, the main thing that I like to tell people about that entire week of practice leading up is that was the most calm and relaxed as Coach Spurrier probably has ever been in his career. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he felt like, we're playing against the number one ranked team, whatever. Who knows? Who cares what happens? We're going to come up with a game plan. But, I mean, he was, he's usually a pretty fired up, antsy guy. Like, you got to do this. He's like, yeah, Steven, what do you think we should run? And I was like, what? Are you okay, man? Like, how many sprites did you have? Like, what's going on? But yeah, I mean, he was, and I wish he was like that my entire career. I think that would have been a little bit different. He kind of just let me go the entire week. He didn't try to manage me. He just kind of like unleashed me, so to speak.
And y'all played loose the whole game.
The whole game.
Felt like.
Yeah.
How often do you get asked about the hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Florida State. Is that number one, or is?
Yeah, both. That's probably 1A and 1B. Yeah. So I leave that up to the imagination of everybody. I don't want to.
One day you're going to tell that story.
Oh, absolutely.
You haven't though, right? Like it hasn't. Is it out there?
There's
pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save that for another day. Yeah. Jeremy, that would not be a story. We're talking about branding during the commercial.
Right.
You leave that one.
Absolutely.
Out.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of what we're doing in the NIL space is really trying to help these student athletes build their brand, and I think Stephen has done a fantastic job with that. I mean, all the things you're doing now, you're still able to ride off of your time here at Carolina and your celebrity status, so to speak. And I really think that a lot of these student athletes, this is the opportunity for them to position themselves to get an opportunity after their sport is over, because most of them won't end up in the league or playing professional sports, whatever their sport is. So it's obviously very important to build that brand. So, Stephen, just tell a little bit about kind of like what that's done for you.
I mean, it's kind of wild, but I mean, you're 100% right. Kind of being able to take advantage of, I guess your following, so to speak, as you mentioned. Never in a million years did I think I'd be, working with the Day Chaser, them, and, getting some of these other opportunities like with the Gamecock Bourbon Society. But, I guess it's kind of like what I am or what I was, in college. So, like you said, I'm going to ride it out and, I really enjoy what I'm doing though. I mean, it's awesome coming up here and getting to hang out with Jeremy and these other guys from the Garnet Trust and, get a chance to run around with Tim around here and, promote the Day Chaser brand and, go to tastings and get everything else going. I never in a million years thought I'd be doing it, but, like you said, you gotta kind of promote your brand. And, that's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think I sent you that athlete QR code company. So that actually just launched today officially. So, I want to definitely mention that. It's called Athlete QR. And
tell everybody a little bit about it because I think it's a pretty awesome thing.
Well, everybody sees even menus at restaurants. Anywhere there's a QR code. So, scan the QR code for the menu, for specials, whatever it may be. So one of the kids who I was training, his dad, had this idea. It's like, why not, instead of when you go to these camps, instead of having like a number on the back of your shirt, then you have to look at the number, then you have to correlate everything else. You put a QR code that's, specific to them. And then it just kind of branched off from them. So now, instead of that, now we just got hats, we got shirts made, going to make towels, and it's for any sport, really. So these guys can buy a QR code that's unique to them, and then you have their social medias on there. You have, their height, weight, their athletic, trophies, whatever the hell it may be. And then, it's basically you're branding yourself. So I thought it was a brilliant idea, and I'm glad to be part of that. And it's hopefully it'll take off. We'll see what happens.
I cannot tell you how many times covering camps for Gamecock Central that I'm over there with a big old, and there's hundreds of kids there, and you're flipping through. All right, who's that? And by the time I figured out who he is, I've lost him on the field, and he's back in a group. That's it's actually brilliant and 100%. Could take off. And if there's one thing that the pandemic gave us is that the QR code came back, became a thing. You see QR codes everywhere. So I love that.
So as this idea was kind of blossoming, and we're trying to get with programmers and this other stuff because we're trying to build an app as well. It was at the time I think UCF did a jersey, and instead of their numbers, it was just a QR code. And it would kind of like the Wounded Warrior Project when we did it against Auburn. They couldn't see our numbers because it was so camouflaged or whatever. So they weren't able to do it, but. When I saw that UCF was trying to do it, I was like, dude, we got to get this thing going now, or we're going to be, too late.
Yeah. How much, going back to kind of the social media thing, how much is just being able to put out the videos on Instagram of some of your training, how much do you think that's kind of helped you grow your business on that side of things?
I think a good amount.
Yeah.
I got to clean up my social media, to say the least. I kind of got one thing. I'm doing tastings with Day Chaser, then the next day I'm, doing a training session. So I need to kind of figure out how to manage that. But, at the same time, it's working. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, Steven, so one of the things I wanted to ask you here today that is about your son, Memphis. I've been able to see him throw the ball at some of your camps, but also on some of the clips he's done. Tell everybody a little bit about him and where he is right now in his high school career.
So he is a freshman over at Steinbrenner High School. He's, as you saw him in Orlando, he kind of shot up. He's about 6'1" now. He's still a little string bean. He's like 140, 150 pounds. But he's, a typical 15-year-old. He's locked in at some points, and then other points he's, hey, I want to go hang out with my girlfriend, or I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, man. You got to have some sort of balance. But at the end of the day, if you want to do this, I thought that was a conversation at lunch we had after that camp. I still talk to him about that. It's like, man, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to sacrifice hanging out with your friends, hanging out with the girlfriends, doing that kind of stuff. You got to, because everybody's got a quarterback trainer now. Everybody's got social media. Everybody's got this and that. So you got to do, more and above, what everybody else is doing. So I think it's starting to click a little bit. He's got a chance to start as a sophomore at, an 8A school down in Florida. So, that's pretty big time. I don't think he understands that fully yet. But I think once he gets his bell rung, I think he'll figure it out pretty quick.
How much have you seen just what it means to be a quarterback at the high school level change since you were coming up? It's completely different now, I think.
Completely different. You got guys, I don't know if it's legal in Florida yet, but I want to say in Texas it's legal. You can pay high school players now. If you got a high school player, and I've seen some of these guys that have massive followings, these 5-star guys, that are getting all these NIL deals that are kind of lining up for college, and they're already getting paid in high school for promoting car dealership or something else. I mean, it is truly baffling, but it's what pays the bills. So why not take advantage of it now?
Were there a lot of quarterback trainers when you were coming up, or it wasn't the thing?
Nope. I mean, I remember I worked out with Steve DeBerg. If you know who that is, he was the oldest quarterback to take a snap in the NFL until Brady just broke his record. But yeah, he's out of Tampa. I worked out with him a few times, and that was interesting. So, but yeah, there was none of this was ever going on. I mean, it just started blossoming out of nowhere. I think it was really like George Whitfield who kind of started
National
the whole thing.
guy.
Yeah.
Hit another break. Come back on the other side. Continue our conversation with former Gamecock quarterback Steven Garcia, Jeremy Smith from the Garnet Trust, also hanging out with us today. It is the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game.
On 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
And welcome back into the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Tyler Head and Wes Mitchell along with you. Today's special guest, Steven Garcia, former Gamecocks quarterback, and Jeremy Smith from the Garnet Trust hanging out with us as well. Steven, you've been talking about these training sessions that you do. What's a standard training session with you kind of look like?
So we, kind of standard warm-up deal, and then we just go right into it. I'm not a huge mechanics, fundamentals type guy. It's like if you can't throw the ball right now, then what are we doing out here? I'm just not that guy. There's other quarterback coaches that can do that. I just don't like focusing on that. And that's another reason why, I said earlier that me and Perry work so well together is that he does focus a lot on the mechanics and the fundamentals. But yeah, it's we're out there grinding for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it is a full speed type operation. It's hotter than Hades down there in Tampa, so it's a good little workout, man. And I was telling Tim, man, I put on about 40 pounds of pregnancy weight when Masha was pregnant, so I've had to cut back about 10 pounds already. So I need to lose about another 30.
Yet another way that I think you were before your time. What are you thinking watching these quarterbacks throw sidearm, three-quarter? Mahomes is going like shortstop across the diamond. You couldn't get away with that, especially under Steve Spurrier.
He didn't even like me holding the ball where I was holding it. He always wanted me to hold it like by my ear. Mm-hmm. And that was another thing that was just, another argument. But that's one thing I did not. I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. I can't hold it like that. I mean, anyways, but yeah, I mean, you see, who is it? The guy, the locked in guys, Austin Carter Samuels. I'm actually friends with him, and we've actually done some camps together. But he's huge on the sidearm, and it almost looks underhand. But my thing is I don't care how you get the ball to him, just get him the ball, and you got to be accurate. That's at the end of the day, accuracy trumps all. So I don't care how you get the ball to the receiver or to the running back, whatever. Just give him the ball.
Have you met Rattler?
I have not. No,
dude. Not. You look at him on TV. He's not that big of a guy, but the ball comes out. I mean,
yeah,
with a quickness.
I've seen him rip it. Yeah.
What have you thought about? I mean, he comes from all angles too.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of the beast, especially when you're not a 6'5" guy. I mean, you're not going to be able to throw it over top of these linemen. So, you got to be able to find those windows and throw a sidearm, throw underhand. I mean, shovel pass it, whatever you got to do. Just like I said, just give him the ball.
Yeah. So you're in town, obviously. Here, got a lot going on. The event tomorrow is going to be at Bourbon. It's like another. By the way, Garnet Trust had a couple of great events here recently. Going to get the people again together tomorrow at Bourbon. How excited are you to get over there and hang out with some Gamecocks? And you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. Last year was freaking awesome. It just sucked that I was about 2.5 hours late. That drive from Tampa was hellacious last year. So I'm glad I'll be on time this year and, get a chance to see everybody. And, I'm really looking forward to it. I know there's still a couple tickets left, right, Jeremy?
Yep, just a few. They're going really, really fast.
So, yeah, I mean, you can check on my social media, Garnet Trust's social media, Garnet, our Gamecock Bourbon Society's social media, and get your tickets there. So, I'm really looking forward to it.
And, Jeremy, GarnetTrust.com as well. Is it on there or direct link? Okay, not GarnetTrust.com.
Yeah,
go to social.
Go to social. You'll get it there. And everyone who comes and gets a ticket will get 2 months free membership to the Garnet Trust. And we got some really cool content that's going to be coming out during those 2 months. So make sure you grab your ticket and come out and see us tomorrow night.
I know y'all been getting everything rolling, lots of new events, lots of new things going on. How cool was it to have everybody out for the WNBA draft this week with 5 Gamecocks getting drafted?
Oh, my gosh, it was unbelievable. I got a call from Bakari Sellers about 5-6 days before the event with the idea, and we literally threw it together as quickly as we possibly could, and put out registration. Market on Main was awesome and hosting us for the event. We had about 250 people register. I think we had close to about 180, 190 that showed. So for the short time that we had to plan it, it turned out better than we expected. We put up a pretty cool video of the event. If you haven't seen it, again, head up on our social media pages to see a little snapshot of the event and the night. And we had several players there to watch their teammates get drafted. And so we had a blast. Can't wait to continue to do that down the road.
Yeah, great moment for that program. They keep putting people in the WNBA. Steven, I notice whenever Garnet Trust posts on social, I see you in the comments. I see you sharing things. You're obviously going to the event tomorrow. Why has it been important to you personally to want to sort of help support Garnet Trust and then in turn help support the current student athletes?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Jeremy has been awesome with me, and, Garnet Trust has been awesome with me, over the last couple of years. So, I feel like it's my duty to kind of help, spread the awareness and kind of, support them as well. So, I think it's awesome. I really do. I think everything they've done and they're doing down the road, I think it's great for the student athletes and, for the entire, community, the whole Gamecock community. I think it's necessary.
Definitely. So if you're out there, check that out. If you're in town for the spring game, get your tickets. Again, the event is tomorrow. What time does it start again, Jeremy?
Tomorrow it starts at 5:30 at Bourbon.
Okay, 5:30 at Bourbon. Be a good time. You never know. It might be some other special guests that
Absolutely.
show
I think we got some tricks up our sleeves, so make sure you grab those tickets. It's going to be a blast.
Talking about the spring game coming up on Saturday, as a player, what was your thought about the spring game in general? How'd you feel about it?
Hold on. The operative question here is, how many spring games did you participate in?
No. One.
Just one.
Yep.
What year was that? Do you remember?
I don't even know.
Junior year, maybe?
I honestly don't even know, but I know that as of Saturday, I will have played in more alumni spring games than I have as an actual player. So, me and spring did not get along very well.
How did the one spring game you did get into go?
It was fun. It was fun. I mean, I don't feel like I missed too much, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
As terrible as that sounds, you just go against the same guys over and over and over again. I mean, it just gets kind of repetitive, and I was ready to lower my head and actually get hit and tackle somebody.
There's been a little push. I don't know if this will ever happen, but about college being able to bring in another team and just, let's say, South Carolina and Furman get together and say, hey, we're going to scrimmage for a spring game.
Kind of how they do in the NFL?
Yeah.
Like a joint practice type deal?
Well, from a player perspective, what would you think of that? I mean, I don't know why they don't do it.
I don't know why they don't do it either. Like I said, it gets really, really repetitive playing against the same guys. And I don't know what it's like with these guys and Coach Beamer, his coaching style, but I remember it was every single day. Justin Sorensen or these other guys are fighting. They're fighting each other, and it was every single day, and it just takes away, like, another 15, 20 minutes of practice to kind of clear the brawl that's going on. It's like, man, this is exhausting. Like, it's Groundhog Day. So, I don't miss it.
Would you rather do a spring game against another team, or this idea has also been thrown out there, like have a week in maybe like August or a few days in August where you practice with another team like they do in the NFL, where two teams get together and practice and scrimmage over the course of a couple of days?
Yeah, I think the spring would probably be more beneficial. I think if you do it too close to the season, that's kind of, if somebody gets hurt, then that screws your entire season up, doing a joint practice. Yeah, I don't see the advantage of that. I think, doing it in spring would be the optimal deal.
Yeah, I'm surprised it has not happened yet at this point.
Too, yeah.
Because if you think about high school, you have jamborees. Obviously, NFL, you have preseason and joint practices. Really makes no sense that the one in between those two things competitively doesn't have it. And you could do it with, like I said, a Furman, a team you weren't going to play in the next couple of years and is right there in state. Right. I think both teams would probably get something out of that.
100%. 100% agreed. But, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Come back on the other side, wrap up today's edition of the Garnet Trust Hour with Steven Garcia, today's special guest. Also, Jeremy Smith from Garnet Trust hanging out with us as well, right here on 107.5 The Game.
It's the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
You have been selected as the first astronaut to explore the planet Mars. The countdown is progressing, and your spaceship is about to blast off on its voyage to discover.
And welcome back into the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Tyler Head Wes Mitchell.
What you playing over there, Tyler?
That's Fish, Jay's favorite band.
Okay.
I can't speak on the some of the music selections here, but
You
it's
picked
always. I know I'm not the one that picks it. Hey, it's already in the stack. But
it just comes in.
yeah, some interesting things get played on here. That's
They're
definitely
blasting off to Mars.
to
or
say
something.
the least. I thought so too. I was like, where's this going? Anyways, welcome back into the Garnet Trust Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Steven Garcia, former Gamecocks quarterback, with us. Jeremy Smith from Garnet Trust also hanging out with us today. A few more minutes to go. I brought up the Alabama game earlier, which you said you still get asked about it all the time. Going back to this past season, how does that Tennessee game stack up to what you guys did back in 2010?
That's a good question. I think that was more of a butt whipping than we gave Alabama. And me and Tim were actually at the game that entire weekend, promoting Day Chaser and doing tastings, samplings, and some other stuff around the area. So ended up going to the game, and I mean it was wild, absolutely wild. So yeah, I mean that I think kind of was a stepping stone for the remainder of the year. Especially then going into Clemson and beating them up there was awesome too. I wish the bowl game would have been a little bit different, but I think we got so much momentum being built right now with everybody, and I think this year is going to be pretty solid for us.
No doubt, man. I feel like you could just feel it building after that. What did it mean to beat Clemson, you think, for this program?
Huge. I mean, that was the first time in, what,
7, 8 years?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. So, especially to do that up there, I mean, there's no better feeling than beating Clemson in Clemson, especially after they've been kind of dogging you the last couple of years. So, that's a huge momentum builder.
I know you were talking off air. You have another business you've kind of been working with as well.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and tell everybody about that too?
Yeah. So it's called Kutt, Kutt, and it's a peer-to-peer betting app. You can find it on the App Store, Google Play, whatever device you have. But yeah, it's the guy that created it, Sim. He's a South Carolina guy. He's reached out to me over the last couple of years, and he mentioned that he talked to you as well. So kind of got involved with them. I guess it was last football season, and it's really been fun. It's a lot better than betting on the DraftKings or FanDuel and all the other stuff. So it's basically a way that your boys can't flake out on bets.
Let's bring Jeremy back in. Jeremy, we actually have another special guest.
We do.
In the building today.
Yeah. Today,
do you have a question for him?
Yeah, I do. Today's Bring Your Son to Work Day. Actually, my son, we actually live in Orlando at the moment. I've been traveling, commuting back and forth here to Columbia. We move as a family here in the later part of May. So it's exciting to have my family here with us this weekend and catching up the spring game. And I'm always catching up with my son to find out who he has on his he plays some football game, and he's basically retooled the roster to be all Gamecocks, so he plays with them and has stats, and on occasion he'll do something really good, and I'll text some of the players that are on his team to let them know that they scored 5 or 6 touchdowns in the past game. But Ethan is here with us today. Ethan, who are some of those players that you like to play with on your game?
Some of the players that I have are Spencer Rattler, Juju McDowell, Trey Knox, DeCarrion Joyner, Juice Wells, Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, Stone Blayton, and Mo Kaba, Mitch Jenner.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he's basically taken the current
entire
roster.
team.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah. So all those guys, we'll make sure we share during the spring game or after the spring game what their stats look like here in the last season of those game.
I know he doesn't have headphones on. What game is he doing this on?
Yeah, what game is this, Ethan? What video game?
Retro Bowl.
Okay,
Retro
and
Bowl. Okay.
real quick, out of all those guys on the spot, who's your favorite player?
Probably Spencer Rattler.
Okay, why?
I really don't know. I just feel like he
You got to go with the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he runs the show.
Yeah, if you don't have a quarterback, well, if you don't have any of these players, you don't have a team. But if you don't have the quarterback, you really don't have a team.
Very true.
Very true.
Do you agree, Steven?
100% agree. 100%.
Steven is on board with that. So are you going to the spring game? Are you going to check that out?
Yep. I know I'm playing in the alumni game, as I mentioned. That'll be my second or third, I guess, spring game playing. So one as a player, then two as a former player. So looking forward to that. I was actually talking with Pat DeMarco. He kind of rigged the teams a little bit. So he's like, hey, man, make sure you throw me a few tutties.
So how does that work? Do y'all still get together and practice the day before, or?
I know they're going to, but I'm not a big practice guy, so I'm not going to make that. I'm going to be doing the bourbon deal, and me and the Day Chaser teams got another event after that. So
on brand.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
How this alumni game? Do some of these guys go maybe a little bit too hard? Is it like, hey, we're out here trying to have fun?
My damn thumb is still not right from when Mo Brown, I hope he's listening, he freaking rushed me in an alumni game it's touch football. This guy rushes me. So I'm sitting there looking to my left, and all of a sudden I see this guy coming up, and he puts his damn head down. So as I'm releasing the ball, my thumb hits his forehead. And, I mean, I had to get x-rayed. It wasn't broken or anything, but it still is not right after that. And then I remember, I can't remember his name. We called him Juice Man. Blake Baxley picked off, I think it was Coach Spurrier. He picked him off when he was trying to throw it to President Pastides. And Coach Spurrier goes, get him off the field right now. And it was absolutely hysterical. He, picked it off and, punted the ball or something.
I can only picture Spurrier's reaction to that.
It was absolutely classic.
Because they were trying to create a moment, basically.
Yeah, 100%. That's what Spurrier does, man. He always had the celebrity throw on the sideline, throw the touchdown or catch it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I had to drive home. I think Easter was the next day, and I had to drive home. My thumb was absolutely throbbing. So yeah, I hope I haven't gotten an apology from Mo. I hope he's listening, but.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get to that. Have you gotten a look at the rosters? I know you said you are stacked up a little bit, but
no, I've not. I just talked with Pat because I was going to try to link up with him to have a
Sprite,
a Day Chaser,
yeah,
or a Sprite. But yeah, so I don't know what he just mentioned that he had me on his team.
And is the alumni game? Is it right before the spring game?
Yes, yeah. I want to say it starts at 3.
Yeah,
okay.
3.
Gotcha.
So that'll be fun.
How has that been to just, invite all the guys back? And I think the cool thing about it is you do have different eras out there. You probably meet guys you maybe would have never met if not for that.
For sure, absolutely. Some of the older gentlemen and, even some of the younger guys that are now alumni, that were in Perry's era. So, yeah, and you got everybody in between. But it's a really fun event. And, again, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, is it just a bunch of guys bragging about what y'all did in your respective time here at South Carolina?
I don't know. Not really. It was kind of just more just shooting the breeze.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't really brag too much. I don't really have anything to brag too much about.
Oh, you won the SEC East.
Yeah. I mean, I had maybe a couple things, but for the majority of it, it was kind of chaotic, my experience here.
Well, we got time for maybe one more Spurrier story. Are there any other ones that come to mind? I know you probably have dozens.
There's
but
infinite amount, but as we talked about, the PG versions they're just not as funny.
Yeah.
But I can tell this first one. It was actually my first practice. So I graduated early, come up here, and I'm walking with Blake Mitchell, walking to the practice field. I don't even know what that is anymore these days. But I see this old guy with the pink bandana on and no shirt, and he's just doing calisthenics. And I'm sitting there walking with Blake. I'm like, what is going on the field right now? And he's like, you'll see. So we're warming up, and Coach Spurrier is literally staring at me. And I'm just sitting there warming up with Blake doing our little pre-practice routine. And I'm like, is he okay? He's like, I'm just catching some rays, young Garcia. And he goes, hey, wait, when are you going to shave that beard and cut that hair? I was like, Coach, man, you just spent the last year and a half telling me that I can do whatever I want and have long hair and you don't care. And that's the first thing you're going to tell me after you're catching rays? What's going on, man? It was a very interesting start to that whole environment.
Yeah, so you had a bunch of offers.
Mm-hmm.
What was being recruited by Spurrier like, and how different was it compared to, when you got here?
It wasn't that much different, other than the fact that, he wanted me to shave and cut my hair. I feel like that's all he ever talked about. And that's another thing I wish I would just listen, and that would have been the end of that conversation. But, being recruited was awesome. When him and Coach Reeves came to my house for the in-home visit, I don't know if I'm permitted to say, but who cares anymore? But I think they went through with my parents. I want to say it was 8 or 9 bottles of wine. They had a solid buzz going. It was very interesting. That dinner, that's an off-air conversation.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you about that dinner they had, and it was absolutely hysterical.
Were you already committed at that point, or this was before you had?
That was before I committed.
Okay, so that's still the deal?
Say that convinced
Yeah,
you to
absolutely.
come.
I mean, and I had two older brothers that were playing at Harvard at the time, and they came down for for that dinner, and everybody's at the big table eating dinner, and it's actually really funny, but it's not a PG story.
Not many PG stories, it sounds like, from back in the day. Who was number 2? What was the team you would have went to if not Carolina?
I was getting ready to commit to Ole Miss, but I remember Coach Ogeron called me and he said, "Hey, don't come over here. I'm not going to be here much longer." And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess that's that." So, yeah, it was really between South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss.
I appreciate the honesty, though.
I appreciate
100%.
the spot-on impressions of both Spurrier and Ogeron right there. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Did you ever? So they had that book, Meat Market.
Yeah, I'm in it.
You're in there a lot.
Yeah.
Did you know that was going on while you were being recruited?
No idea. But between South Carolina and Ole Miss, those visits were awesome, to say the least.
Probably won't tell those stories now.
Yeah,
No,
we'll
either.
have to save that for something.
Save it
off
for a
the air.
podcast.
Yeah, a podcast where we can be a little more non-PG.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to.
It's a good
to
stopping
finish up.
point. Good stopping point. But thank you,
Jeremy, Steven,
for so much for
appreciate it.
joining us. Thank you, Jeremy, for allowing us to do this. Bring you the Garnet Trust Hour twice a week, every single week. That'll do it for today's edition. If you want to listen to it later on, it'll be up shortly on the 107.5 The Game podcasting page. Coming up next, the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, right here on 107.5 The Game.